Peace be upon you, everyone. I hope you're all doing well. We have a new comprehension skill to learn today. This picture will give you a clue. Examine the following picture. The old woman's grocery fell to the ground. The kind young lady helped her pick up her grocery. Coronavirus has spread all over the world. Luckily, we have our doctors and nurses who are doing their best to fight it. The poor baby was crying because he was starving. His mother fed him a bottle of milk. Now, do you have any idea about our lesson? Let's go back to the first slide. The old woman's grocery fell to the ground. What can we consider this? You're right, this is the problem. The kind young lady helped her pick up her grocery. So she helped her in what? You're right, to find a solution to her problem. Let's move on. Coronavirus has spread over the world is the what? Problem. You're right. And the solution to the problem is doctors and nurses are doing their best to fight it. This is considered as the problem, that the baby was crying because he was starving. And the solution to the problem, his mother fed him a bottle of milk. In everyday life, we all face problems. We think of ways to solve them, or other people help us solve them. How is this related to our lesson? Similarly, all stories have a plot or series of events. Every plot contains a problem, and the plot events lead to the solution to this problem. So the problem is what goes wrong in the story. Solution is how the problem is solved. You are used to the terms problem and solution. The problem is something that is causing trouble for one or more of the characters. The solution is how the problem is solved at the end of the story. However, this year you're going to use different terms. We have a new terminology. Instead of using the term problem, we're going to use another term, which is conflict. Conflict is the same as a problem. We are going to use this term this year. And instead of the term solution, we're going to use the term resolution. So, our lesson is about plot, conflict, and resolution. Together, let's recall what each term refers to. The plot of a story is the series of events that make up the story. The conflict is the problem that the main character must solve. And the resolution is the solution to the problem. Now I'm going to give you some useful tips which you can use when you want to find the problem and the solution, or the conflict and resolution in the story. Authors often introduce the conflict early in a story, so you find the conflict close to the beginning of the story. On the other hand, the resolution usually comes near the end of a story, So if you're asked to pick out the conflict and the resolution from the story, you find the conflict early in the story and the resolution near the end of a story. These tips are very useful. Keep them in mind. Now let's start with activity 1. We all know the story of the three little pigs. If you don't, this is the link of the story so that you can watch it. The three little pigs and the big bad wolf. So now you're going to the YouTube to watch this story. After this, you have to fill in this graphic organizer. At this point, I want you to pause the video, go watch the story of the three little pigs and the big bad wolf on the YouTube, and then apply this with the conflict, plot events, and resolution. When you're done, replay the video to check the answer and to proceed with our lesson. I hope you enjoyed watching the story on the YouTube. Let's now discuss the answer key. The conflict is the wolf wants to eat the pigs. Plot events. 1. The wolf goes to the first two houses and blows them down. 2. The pigs run to the third pig's house. 3. The wolf tries to blow down the brick house and fails. 4. The wolf sneaks down the chimney and falls into the boiling pot. The resolution: the big bad wolf runs off in the woods and the pigs live happily. So, the resolution is related to the conflict. It is the solution to this conflict. The wolf wants to eat the pigs, but the story ends when the big bad wolf runs off in the woods and the pigs live happily. These are the plot events that lead to the resolution. After you check your answers, proceed with the video. Now we have another activity. Read this short story with me. Luke paddled more quickly. He didn't like the look of the dark clouds ahead. He reached the shore just as the first raindrops fell. What will I do if my gear gets soaked? He wondered. Luke pulled the canoe onto the rocks, quickly unpacked his gear, and turned the canoe upside down on top of it. I may get wet, but my gear won't, he thought. Reread the short story before we proceed with the activity. So at this point, pause the video so that you reread the story and understand it. After you read the story and understand it very well, fill in this graphic organizer with the conflict, plot events, and resolution. Take your time, but pause the video. When you're done, replay it to check the answer key in the following slide. The conflict is Luke worries that his gear will get wet. The plot events: Luke paddles to the shore, then he pulls his canoe onto the rocks and unpacks his gear. The resolution is Luke covers his gear with his canoe to keep it dry. As you can see, the resolution is directly related to the conflict. Luke worries at first that his gear will get wet. He covers his gear with his canoe to keep it dry. These are the plot events that lead me to the resolution. I hope now you are able to read the story and understand it very well, to be able to pick out the conflict and the resolution and the plot events related.